Hello and welcome to the third day, day three of the growth marketing course. And in this day, we are going to discuss how to build the growth mindset. So, Swati, these were the four pillars that we discussed, as you remember. And as I'd mentioned,
Yeah.
mindset is sort of like the most important thing. And I think like you've already been working with me for a year, and I keep telling you all of these things. But for someone who's starting out, they really have to think about different ways or new ways to approach problems, also new ways to solve problems. And that's sort of the way to build the growth marketing mindset. But I think it's important to also dissect this and to see what are the different components of this growth marketing mindset that we need to build, right? So what we'll do is we'll start with these terms. And the two terms are following an experimental approach and then making
Mhm.
data-driven decisions. And the experimental approach or the experimental mindset is to basically think of life itself as an experiment, you know, and then it boils down to seeing that everything that you do in life is basically just an experiment. Because people say, okay, startups have a high failure rate, startups can succeed or fail, or marketing campaigns can succeed or fail. But actually, everything that you do in life, you could either have a successful outcome or you can have a failed outcome. So everything,
True.
to be honest, is an experiment, right? So maybe you might have seen this, Swati, and what are your some of your hobbies?
I like reading and I like gardening, just hiking.
Yeah, so those are great examples. Look at gardening, for example, right? There are different things that you can do which may or may not work, and
Yeah.
there are certain ways which work better, right? With gardening, when it comes to gardening, then there are certain things which work better for certain plants, which do not work for other
Hmm.
category plants. There are things that can grow together that cannot grow together. Like there are so many ways, so many tests that you can run with gardening and get different kinds of outcomes for different kinds of tests, right? Reading a book is also a great example. You like reading, so like if you sort of read the front and the back cover of the book, you get sort of the first test or the first taste rather of what the book is could be. And then not every book that you read will turn out to be the best book that you've ever read, right? So you still have to keep testing different things, even with like exploring new authors, exploring new titles, exploring new categories of books. You have to experiment, and then you sort of find things that resonate or things that work in case of gardening, right?
Yeah. I didn't think of it as such, but now that you say it, yeah, life really is an experiment.
Exactly. Even like, you're going hiking, there are different survival hacks that you can use, right? Something like growth hacks. To maybe you have, maybe you don't have access to a charging point and you have low battery on your phone. There are different things where you will have to experiment with different ways to save battery, experiment with different ways to get access to water, whatever that is, to save your energy. But anything in life, this sort of mindset can be taken forward. Like if you build this mindset, you can use it with different things. Like these days I'm brewing coffee and learning how different methods of brewing coffee work, and some of them don't work for me, some of them I like, some of them I find that changing the temperature from, let's say, hot boiling water to 90 degrees to 85 degrees actually brings out better flavors in my coffee. That's an experiment that I'm doing. Drinking the coffee when it comes down to 60 to 70 degrees is a sweet spot that I found after testing different temperatures. So I'm literally like putting a thermometer in my coffee and seeing when I should drink it, but don't recommend that to everyone. But what I mean is, you can experiment different things and figure out what works. Let's say if you're following a specific uh, dietary pattern or food, you have to test and see what works for your body, right? Some things your body may not like, some things your body might like more,
That's right.
right? So people get into relationships before they can decide on life partner, right? So you have to experiment with different things before you're sort of able to get the right results or move in the right direction. And that's like a mindset which really applies to growth marketing, because you run everything you do in growth marketing just like everything you do in life is an experiment. And this is why I got naturally attracted to growth marketing versus digital marketing, where it seems like If you have a set of keywords that you want to rank for example, for SEO, you have to work for the next 6 months to rank for that keyword, let's say. That's not very experimental, right? While you can apply growth marketing to SEO and make it much better, make it more lean, make it more experimental, but the traditional ways of doing digital marketing were not very focused on experimentation, while growth marketing is totally focused on experimentation, right?
Right.
So you experiment, and then the second part of it is to make data-driven decisions. And this is something that I have adopted in my life as well. So like you said, for example, that, with gardening or with these other hobbies that you have, now you see that it makes sense. But what if you are able to come to a position where you have a mindset of measuring everything and then being able to make the right decisions? So there's always some metrics that will be associated to success, right? And there will always be some conditions in which you will know that you will be successful. So I'll give you the coffee example, or even with tea, this applies. But like, I actually literally checked that 60 to 70 degrees is the temperature range at which I like to drink my coffee, not brew my coffee, but drink my coffee. And that sort of metric, that sort of number helps me, because I know that this is the sweet spot where I am. Now, a lot of times people will say, I don't like my coffee, or it's too hot, or it's too cold, but there's no number associated with it, right? So how can you make a decision when you don't have a number associated with it? And that's the reason why I like this data-driven mindset. I apply to other areas of my life as well. But specifically, you don't have to do it with coffee, but specifically with business campaigns, you need to have data associated with success. So to give you an example, if you post something on social media, what metric do you use to see if it is successful or not?
I think reach,
Yeah.
conversions, of course, if you attach a link to it or it's in a story, and of course the engagement rate, to know if people are really liking it and engaging with your content.
Right. So you see the engagement rate, for example, let's just pick one of those. So you see the engagement rate. Now you have data, and then you can make a decision. But you also have past data to show that typically your engagement rates are whatever X%.
Yeah.
So if you have something less, that means you need to do something else. If you have something better, then you need to do more of that. But you're making that decision based on the data that you have. And I think that's a good
Right.
mindset to have also in other areas of life as well. So we're not going to preach about what to do in other areas of your life, but for growth marketing, people need to make data-driven decisions. There is a lot of thing about intuition as well, that this is an intuitive thing that I would like to do. But if you can back it up with data, then it would make sense for the business. If it's only intuition or if it's only feeling, then it does not have enough value to be considered a strong case for a growth marketing experiment or for a business, right? So this is where it slightly would differ from real life, wherein oftentimes you make decisions based on feeling/emotion. But with growth marketing, we'll have to back it up with data. And I use a term called other people's data. Very often, sometimes you don't have enough data of your own business, so you can use case studies or references to get other people's data as well, right? So first two concept components of the mindset. The next two components is something that we discussed earlier, which is to stay lean and go agile. And I actually apply this to many areas of my life as well. And like if I can achieve any personal output in with less resources, I will try to figure that out. So let's say, for example, if I want to stay fit, right? Now, there are many options out there to stay fit. Like there are many things that you can do. Some people would recommend eating this particular meal or following a meal plan, this and that. I've basically figured out like the lowest effort that works for me to stay fit, considering that obviously I don't have goals to become massively muscular or completely lean or anything like that. I just want to maintain a healthy lifestyle. But I found, for example, I was going to the gym every day at some point of time. And now I find that going 3 to 4 times a week also gets me like, most of those results, maybe 90-95% of those results. So I just want to maintain it. And I can save my time on those 3 days and maybe just do a little bit of yoga or, a walk or cycling on those days. But basically just trying to figure out what's the minimum dose that we need to get most of the results, and then staying lean by reducing the waste in our system. Right. So that's another thing that you can easily apply to other areas of your life. And then there's going agile, which is to get to the audience faster. If you're building something, especially with marketing, if you're building something, it has to be used by the user, right? So the end user has to test it. If you believe and you have data, even if you have data to show that this works, you'll have to test it with your audience. So the earlier you go to the audience, the better. So lean and agile are some things that we've discussed earlier as well. And finally, the other one is to doubt the default. And the way that I put it is, usually the default ways of doing something may or may not be the best ways. So you'll have to think offbeat and think creative. So let me give you an example. If I want to double the traffic on my website, right? What would be the default way? Let's say there's an SEO expert who I speak to, and then this person, a digital marketing expert, he might suggest me to either, number one, double the traffic by running ads, or number two, increase the content, target the popular keywords so that you can rank for SEO, right? Now, these are the default ways. And what I say is doubt the default. So think that the default, while it is prescribed to be the best way, think about the fact that there could be other ways to actually do this, which may be less expensive or less time consuming. So if you look at paid ads, they're very expensive. If you look at SEO, it's more time consuming. Now, what if my audience already hangs out on a forum or a discussion board where I can just join the discussion board and talk about my product and double the traffic, right? It's a free way, it's a quick way, and I don't have to go through this whole SEO and paid ads methodology to do that. It's a very simple approach. So using that network, I'm able to get traffic instead of running ads or SEO. And we'll throughout the course, we'll share many more examples of different startups who've used these kinds of methods.
Great, interesting. Yeah, I think again it comes back to the point, like you said, experimenting new things and testing new things instead of just moving on with one approach.
Exactly. And also, testing different ways which are offbeat, which are creative. And the reason for that is most of these popular marketing channels are quite saturated, right? So you know this, I know this, we all know this. People are running ads on the same channels. So what happened is when people were running a lot of ads on Facebook, it got saturated. Then people started doing TikTok ads, right? They were seeing better results there. It was a lesser saturated channel, essentially. And then there are so many channels, including your competitors, different communities that you can be part of, that you can target. And this is something I will discuss later, but these are the 3 C's of growth hacking, or 3 C's of growth marketing. And what you can do is you can either explore paid opportunities, you can even partner with these channels, and you can just piggyback off of these channels. And those are the 3 P's of growth. We'll discuss those in detail, but those are more well-defined tools of leveraging offbeat channels and creative tactics. But the mindset is to ask yourself the question, is there a less popular way to do this, right? Which may be probably using less resources. So even with other areas of your life, if you want to go, let's say, start a business, maybe getting an MBA is popular, but it may not be the best and the shortest and the least time consuming way to do it. Maybe you just want to build a startup and access the program. You will even get the money and you'll do it in 3 months versus doing an MBA for 2 years. And I'm not suggesting that, but it's an example. If you just want to build a business, is the default way the best way to do it, right? If you want to make $1,000 a month, let's say you're a college student, what is the default way to do it? Yeah, you have to complete your college, you have to get a good job, then you have to get a salary of $1,000 or 2,000, 3,000, whatever that is. But what if you think that there's a side hustle that I can build while in college, or I can drop out and build a side hustle for $2,000, $3,000 a month? Now you're not taking the default way, but you're getting to the same result much faster and in less resources, which is less time, less money. You have to pay a lot for college and you have to spend a lot of time there. Like that's one place where you spend both time and money. And usually in business, we would pay any amount of money to save time, or sometimes we pay with time to save money. It depends on how much the amount is. But college is an example that I like, because that's where you have to spend both time and money to get to the same result.
Yes.
Right?
That's a great example.
Yep. So doubting the default is like another component of the mindset. And those are all the different components of the mindset. And that's the first pillar of growth. So what we'll do is in the coming days, we're going to explore the other pillars of growth. Any questions from today, Swati?
No, I think it's been a great lesson, and especially how you compare the mindset of growth hacking to life. I think it holds true. Yeah, looking forward to the rest of the lessons.
Awesome. Then we'll catch up in the next lesson. Thank you everyone for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.